What's up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew Esquire, Legal Minds, where we teach you to be your own judge. Here today, live with you on the Kaceytron, officially losing the lawsuit with Ethan Klein on the settlement. We're going to go through today, comment on the video, hang out today. We're doing it a little bit different with the fast facts. Like I said, we're focusing on quality over quantity. So we have the last one from the last live here today afterwards. So when you hang around, after this, you'll be redirected into my last fast facts, and then we'll have the Kaceytron one coming out a little bit later with a lot of editing, cleaning it up. Hopefully, it's a lot nicer for you guys here. It is not nice for me and my voice because I was just getting over a cold, and then we have this PM 2.5 here in Bangkok, which is really bad air quality. So I've been like coughing up a storm, and I'm still sneezing and stuff. So I do apologize if you see me coughing or whatnot today. It's been rough on the air quality side. I need a little bit of I probably need to get out of the city for a couple days. But that said, I'm glad to be here for you guys today. And thank you for all being here. Thank you for supporting me. I love you guys. Thank you for being a great community. Super awesome. And I appreciate that. Of course, we do have a PP, but it is very visual PP today. So there's a lot of showing, right? It's a shower today, right? Not necessarily a grower. Because it's not as long as my one the other day. It's not my 36 slide PP, but it's pretty good. Tim Riggs says, looking forward to this one, Legal Minds. Keep it up. Hey, my pleasure. The Death Mongrel, I welcome as a new member. Welcome. Charlie Spur says, is it enough to settle my horse harassment lawsuit? Did you say horses? Because if you said horses.
Thank you very much for all of your lovely art as well. Some of it a little lewd. To those of you drawing me with horses, y'all are into some fucked up shit, and I hope you get the help you need. I really truly hope you get the help you need.
I've been loving that I got to play that clip twice in 24 hours. That's just classic. There's only special moments for that clip. Maddie Daddy says, no insanity plea for Kaceytron. Uncle Mine said, no insanity plea. Tim Riggs gifted 20 illegal mindset memberships. Yes. ADPZ says, this content is amazing. Learned a lot. Okay, cool. And we're going to talk a little bit today about settlement, about some of the requirements. And also, I've got some predictions for some things that might be going on behind the scenes here. With a lot of the future lawsuit here, because it's not over. Remember, even though Kaceytron is settled, we still have Denims, who has vowed to fight this to the death, and Frogan, who I think is at this really weird point where she doesn't have the money to fight this. She knows she's going to lose, but if she does this statement, if she settles, she's going to have to do what Kaceytron did. And that's going to be maybe a career ender for her. Maybe. King Luigi at 95 gifted 5 illegal mindset memberships, given all of my haters.
Emotional cabbage.
Thank you, King Lugia. And appreciate all those gifted memberships. If you got that, be like Justy Noise and please say thank you for those gift memberships. Please be grateful. We have one of the best chats in all of the internet, very respectful because of the culture that you guys create. So thank you guys for that. Mick Skittles says, but it's discovery in the settlement. What she said is, and we're going to listen to the statement, but I'll get ahead of myself here because you sent a member chat and I love my members. I love you guys. We're also going to have, by the way, members, we're soon going to have breed emoji, and then we're going to have perhaps a grand emoji. Or a woman resembling Gran, because I have to say that for copyright purposes. That said, I do think ultimately that she's going to cooperate with what she knows. I don't think that Kaceytron is the one with the most dirt. I think it's Frogan or Denims. I think Kaceytron is more of the useful idiot in this case. Solowski, 7690, welcome as a new member. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into the PP and let's get into what's going on here. So, of course, you guys know that this was involving Kaceytron. That's obviously the title. And obviously, we've got comic book supervillain, as they call him, Ethan Klein, who, with his infinite money printer, can absolutely crush pretty much any opponent, it seems, that wants to go against him in this realm, because he does have a significant amount of funding, and he would be able to grind them down over time with a good legal case. In this case, the facts were on his side, and they were definitely not on the side of Kaceytron, Denims, or Frogan, all of which who watched the Hassan Piker content nuke, because remember, this relates back to the Hassan Piker content nuke, and all of which made comments that either implied or directly stated they were diverting revenue from Ethan Klein, right? Also, Crimson Splat, please leave Remo alone. Leave Remo alone. Bear Squee for $4.99. So any DJs in the chat, I'd love a remix of this apology to add to my workout play. That'd be really cool. Yeah, if there's a DJ in the chat who wants to drop a remix, that would be awesome. Just drop a nice beat on that. That'd be awesome. I know some DJs here, but I would have to. We'll see. Maybe you know what? Maybe there's somebody I know that could do that project for me. I actually know somebody I could probably pay him to do that project for me. All right. So here is Kaceytron. We're going to go through the apology. We're going to watch the version of it where Ethan Klein kind of leads into the intro. Now, remember, this is definitely part of a settlement agreement. The language here that she's using, and listen to the words she says. I'll pause it. But this is not Kaceytron's normal vocabulary. She's not using words that would be normally used by a regular human in the regular conversation, right? At least unless a lawyer or a very, let's say a very intellectual person, right? Which Kaceytron is not, right? So let's watch this and see what she has to say.
Negative. I don't want people to see people being rude to her. I genuinely have forgiven her. I'm moving on, and it's water under the bridge. I don't want to see anybody being. I'm being dead serious. No, let's not be nasty to her, guys. This is it. Okay, it's over. We won. That's it. We won, right? So,
and by the way, Ethan Klein is saying this because of the settlement. So one of the terms you're going to get in a settlement is to not be disparaging towards each other. So Ethan Klein, regardless of whether or not he is a good person or he's evil, right? He has to be legally nice here. So he cannot get on here and be like, yeah, F this girl. No, that's going to be a requirement on both sides that they are non-disparaging towards each other, right? Going into the future. So yeah, that's definitely, once again, whether or not you believe he's good or evil, he also has to play nice here.
let's just move on and thank her. Thank you.
For infringing
I'm being dead serious.
nuke.
Please do not.
The lawsuit was not frivolous. When I said the lawsuit was frivolous and based on misogyny, it was to garner sympathy, protect my own reputation, and retaliate against the Kleins. This lawsuit has given me a greater understanding of copyright protection, people's copyrights, and the importance of protecting copyrights in the online content creation community. It is important for the entire content creation community to respect the intellectual property rights of other creators, and I will adhere to the lessons I've learned throughout this process going forward. I also want to make clear that I did not receive any support, financial or otherwise, from Hassan Piker. Hassan never even reached out to me privately to offer words of support. Speaking honestly, I found his indifference to my suffering hurtful, especially after he hinted he might help me behind the scenes. It felt like he wanted to receive credit from the public for helping me without providing any. As to the GoFundMe money, to the extent there are any remaining funds after I pay my attorney's fees, I have agreed to pay the remaining funds to the Kleins. The funds will not go to anyone else, including Denims, to defend their lawsuits. For the record, I have agreed to cooperate with the Kleins in their litigation against the H3 Snark mods for promoting my live stream to the extent that I am able. I will offer my support, including testifying under oath to everything I have just stated, to help their cause. I also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge other misconduct and bad behavior I have exhibited online. For example, weaponizing the death of Asmongold's mother was inexcusable. I should know better because I have 3 disabled people that rely on me. Moving forward, I will do better. I also want to apologize to the crew of the H3 podcast, particularly AB and Olivia.
Yeah.
I apologize for calling them cowards for not quitting their jobs, That was a shameful attack on two people who deeply care about Palestine and Palestinian people.
It's true.
AB, along with his wife Lena, have done more than I have ever done for the Palestinian people, including raising over $100,000 in charity. I recognize that they have actually made Palestinian lives better, and my online antagonism and trolling has not.
This is just so, once again, can you imagine if this was not forced, right? I don't think that she would have said these things but for this settlement, right? And any of these statements, right? I don't think she would have apologized but for. And I think this is a comment Asmongold said. This is you didn't say this on your own. You said this because of a lawyer, and he's right. Asmongold is right. These apologies, these statements, there's no way that she would have said this herself but for this settlement.
I apologize to Ethan and Gila personally. I have said extremely mean and cruel things about both of them, particularly my misogynistic attacks against Gila that never should have been said. I also want to acknowledge the pervasive problem of anti-Semitism in leftist spaces. It should concern all of us. I condemn it and will not participate in it. To that end, I wish the Klein's success in enforcing TED Entertainment's copyright and protecting the legal rights of online content creators.
And you can tell, you saw her eyes scanning there. You saw her reading. Like, that was clearly a statement that she was reading as she went to make sure she got it right. If Sasan gives support as a legal liability, well, we don't know yet. So here's the important fact, guys. We haven't gotten the discovery from the Reddit mods yet. They're still fighting that. They're still trying to stop that. That is where we're going to know, is Hasan a link? If the Reddit mods or whatever, the Snark mods had some links to Hasan, if Denims had some links to Hasan, if that's why Denims isn't settling because there's some Hasan link there, that would be a huge thing. So we don't know yet. We don't have enough information to say whether Hasan gets roped in on this yet. So that's something that we need to hold off on. Charlie Spurs said, let Crimson cook. We're not going there right now. We're staying kosher. Sarcasto78 says, would it be legal to make a condition of settlement with Frogan to set weight loss goal, or she can't?
No. Wait.
Leave my Habibi alone, okay? No, you can't make something like that a son. I mean, you could technically, but she's not going to agree to that, right? What I think the issue with Frogan is, and I'm going to get into this later, is this is going to damage her credibility going forward. She will be considered a sellout. And her relationship with the person who matters most to her will be very much tarnished in the future. Tim Riggs says, Kaceytron is a smart one out of these three. Who knew? I thought it would have been Frogan, but Frogan is probably realizing, oh crap, I've got to do this, and this may be the end of my online career, which once again, I would have some sympathy if she didn't know better, and if she didn't have the chance to settle it easily in the beginning, and if she wasn't so obstinate, right? Billy Aoki said, did you know that if you put a finger in Frogan's mouth, she'll stop eating and finally lose? Oh, gosh. Fat Factor Creation said, basically her own lawyer said, say this on stream or else. Also, in terms of settlement, may include her turning over knowledge. Yes, she's required to testify. So she said it herself. She has to testify. She has to testify when, in Ethan's favor, when she's called upon that in the court, which is going to be crazy. Once again, I said in the beginning of this case, guys, I said to you guys that this is going to turn into people stabbing each other in the back quicker than you think, right? This is going to turn into a situation where they're all turning on each other. By the way, I want to get this one real quick before we move on. This is the little clip with Asmongold, who actually, with the comment about his mom and his response to it, which I think it's very, very, very fair.
For example, weaponizing the death of Asmongold's mother was inexcusable.
It sure was. That's why it's not getting excused. Apology not accepted. You did this because of a lawyer.
So, not accepting her apology because it's a legal statement. Once again, very fair on his part. By the way, now typically this is a little law for you, a little legal education, because we try to do that here. Typically, you cannot defame a dead person. So the dead person, because they're dead, has no defamation right. However, if it harms the reputation of a living relative, so for example, one's son, and you're committing that defamation in order to harm the son's reputation, that is something that can become actionable because you are trying to harm that other person's reputation. So even though you're technically attacking the dead person, the living person's reputation is being harmed. There is a defamation case there. So I'm not saying that Asmongold is going to sue her for defamation, but what I'm saying is that's still on the table. Like, that has not been taken off the table. But what has been taken off the table, and what is absolutely hilarious to me, is right here. And this to me was absolute cinema, is that Anissa is it Jamha, right? Anissa had to give her $1,000 to Ethan Klein. She's now got to live with the fact that she funded Ethan Klein. Everybody who gave to that GoFundMe because they hated Ethan Klein, because they wanted to stop him, because he's a villain, all of them have now funded Ethan. Thanks, Anissa. Isn't that just chef's kiss poetic? You can't make this up. Straight into his money grubbing pockets, this, Dr. Evil of the internet. It's just lovely. Let's get some super chats here. Kaceytron likely gave Ethan and his team everything they wanted to hunt down the Red Mods, Denims, Frogan, and Hassan for Ethan Heddle. Subtle. Yeah, we don't even know everything they gave. I guarantee you she gave some information that was pertinent. Leprechaun Gold gave 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you. $20 super sticker. Thank you. Fat Factor said Asmon can file for defamation of the estate. It's not that simple, right? Because a defamation has to relate to a living relative, right? It's not necessarily just defaming a deceased person in and of itself, right? Because typically, like I said, they're deceased, so they have no reputation to protect, unless that is damaging a broader, like you said, in a estate in the sense of not estates and trust, but in the broader business, right? Or broader relations. Casey Place. Armando Lehman says, first time I've seen her sober. She wasn't smoking there. She was not smoking there. Fallen said, Casey Hills hits from the sanity bong for her lawyer. She was probably told not to smoke before this. Total Lex Juther victory. Colonel Arnold said, she's definitely reading from a prompt written by a lawyer, but I'm loving the hell out of it. Oh, it was great. I was loving it. Leprechaun, also thank you for another $10 super sticker. Let's see here. Patrick, S9022 said there's a rumor going around that Asmongold was looking at suing her for saying that he was the one who killed his mom. That's why he was put out. He's still got the right to do that. Think about that. And this may be what Asmongold was hinting at or may not. I'm going to play another video of Asmongold vague posting. And this is one possibility, right? Because saying something like this, which is so fucked up, and I know I'm cursing. I know we're going to get demonetized. Smash the like button for demonetization, guys. We got demonetized because I had to put $1 in the swear jar there. But it's so wrong to bring people's family into this. What do they have to do with this? If you have a problem with Asmongold, just bring it up with Asmongold. If you have a problem with me or whatever else, just directly attack the person. Why do you have to bring people's family into it? Does that make you a better or bigger person? And the craziest thing about this is from Kaceytron, who was begging sympathy because of her family. So it's her family, and it's okay. It's perfectly fine to have sympathy for her family, but no sympathy for Asmongold's deceased mother. That's disgusting. That's immoral to me, right? All people are equal. We're all humans. Everybody has a mother, right, who they care about and love and should not be dragged into any of this, right? It's just not, it's not right, right? Super Appreciator says Chang, Sing, or Leo. Of those three, I would say I used to be a Sing person. I go with a Leo. Solowski says, for 769, he says, can't this admission of guilt put her in a bigger dilemma? Like, for example, someone suing her for defamation? Yes, it can. Yes, it can. There's two options that I think are coming down for that. I run until 5254. Remember, for 10 months, thank you. Josie8641 said, genuine question, is there any context in which lawsuits or threats of lawsuits can be considered blackmail? Is there anything you wouldn't be able to put in a settlement agreement? No, you can threaten someone with a lawsuit. So you can threaten to sue them. That's fine. You're using a legal process. You're not threatening to do something illegal or untoward or putting any sort of undue pressure on somebody by threatening to sue. Now, if you actually file a suit that is frivolous, there are penalties for that, right? So if you do file a frivolous suit, you could be punished in certain contexts for filing a completely frivolous lawsuit. Yes. Donut, 455. Oh, sorry, 445. For 499 says, wow, I got a live stream. Can't wait for the fast facts. Yeah, that'll be out probably tomorrow because we're now doing quality over quantity. So they do a little editing, a little bit of a delay, but it will be out. Blood in my beard said, warum hat deine Bierglas keine Bier? I am recovering right now. I am not trying to be drinking any alcohol tonight. I'm trying to be taking it easy and recovering. We got PM 2.5, like horrible air quality here. So on top of being sick and me coughing every once in a while, I'm trying to keep it clean here. But there'll be some beer in the glass at some point. Don't worry. Timmer says, not going to lie, we're closing in on Randy Marsh and a room covered in ectoplasm levels of enjoyment. I think we got to play this one.
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
And that and the horse stuff. More Pegasus is going to have a field day with this. Oh, yeah. Rad, the researcher, said, from a legal stance, should Miami be in the CFP? Interesting. I have to think about that. I should have to think about that. Din Days, 29 for 100 for Nung Roy, says, can't wait to hear her break the lawsuit NDA. I don't think she's going to do that. I think she's not that stupid. I think she's stupid, but I think she's probably listening to her lawyers at this point. So you can say, hey, look, there's something going on there. Okay, so here's two things I want to bring up. First is, let's do the Asmongold vague posting first. So this is very interesting, and I'm gonna tell you what this probably is, but without telling you what it probably is. Okay. Let me play this.
She doesn't know this, but this put her in a position for something that's going to happen in the future. I don't know if Ethan knows this. I think Ethan does know this. But I'm not going to say what it is because I want it to happen. I do. And I know if I say what it is, it'll lower the probability of it happening. I understand. I apologize for vague posting, but I promise you it will be worth it. Do you remember last time I was vague posting? Was that worth it? I think it was. Please have faith.
So this is pretty clearly a lawsuit. Okay, so I'm not no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It's a lawsuit, right? The question is, who is the plaintiff and who is the defendant, right? And I can speculate on this. I don't know. Nobody has told me. Remember, guys, I'm over here and I'm doing my little Asia thing in my own little bubble. I'm not in the streamer bubble. I don't call these guys up and be like, yo, what's up? Let's hang out on Friday and get a beer. Like, I don't have any secret conversations with any of these people. That said, there's a lot of people this could be, right? Somebody's mentioned in the chat right now. Possibly that person, possibly another person. Against who? Again, who's the defendant or defendants, right? That I won't say because that's probably what Asmongold doesn't want the defendants to be ready for or defendant to be ready for. So I will respect that because I don't want to tip it off either. But the plaintiffs, there's two possible people I can think of, right? One of which being Asmongold himself, right? So obviously he would have a claim there, obviously. So let's just say Asmongold's one potential plaintiff. There's another potential plaintiff, right? Savage Sweetheart says more Pegasus is going to be diabolical. Oh yeah, Peg is going to be yeah. It's always weird saying Peg, but I mean it feels right. It feels right. Okay, let's also play XQC talking shit here because XQC is definitely full of shit here. So let's play XQC.
Opportunity to acknowledge other misconduct and bad behavior I have exhibited online. For example, weaponizing the death of...
Yo, I don't give a fuck how big the lawsuit is. If somebody sues me for everything I have, I'm battling until bankruptcy not to do this shit. I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Somebody sues me for fucking $7 billion instead of bankrupt 10 generations after me. I'm not doing this shit. It's crazy.
The death of Hassan never even reached out to me privately to offer words of support. Speaking honestly, I found his indifference to my suffering hurtful, especially after he hinted he might help me behind the scenes. It felt like he wanted to receive credit from the public for him helping me without I As to the GoFundMe money,
I'm more surprised that in the year 2025, it seems like we've had a Kaceytron sober stream. I mean, I applaud that.
for the record,
Okay, so that part, XQC's right about her being sober during that, but he's full of shit here. And the reason why that is he's not facing a massive lawsuit that would destroy him financially, right? XQC is not in those shoes. And it's easy to talk tough, but honestly, when you're not in a lawsuit, when you're outside of a lawsuit, it's very, very, very easy to say, I would fight this to the death. It's not your money. It's not your time. It's not consuming your life, right? When this thing is the only thing, you got to understand, every single other thing in your life is going to take second place to the lawsuit. Your personal life is going to suffer. Your business life is going to suffer. Your friends, family, everybody's going to suffer from this. That's absolutely not something to laugh at. You're going to be getting deposed. You're going to have document requests, right? It's not going to be a fun time at all. So I can't say that anybody would want to go through this. And settling and saying you're sorry and saying you make a mistake. I make mistakes. I say I'm sorry all the time. I apologize to someone just the other day publicly on X, right? People make mistakes. It's normal. And you know what? Going back and saying you're sorry and hopefully learning from this, I do hope Kaceytron learns from this. I don't think she will, but I do hope she does, right? And certainly she's probably going to think twice before she gets into a legal issue again, right? I think that's something she'll actually have to consider before she actually goes out and maybe defames somebody in the future. Let's see. How much of an overwhelming Silbury sign? What's up, Silbury for 5 says, how much of an overwhelming power imbalance did Ethan have over Casey that her team was desperate enough to approve the creation of future liabilities? Listen, I told you guys, the law is pretty clear here. It's wildly on the side of Ethan. All of this misrepresentation by Hassan that this is not copyright, whatever, is complete BS. This is 100% pure copyright, and this is a layup of a case. They could not have given Ethan Klein a better case here. If they didn't make the statements they made, and if they didn't present the information the way they did, and if they didn't intentionally try to divert that revenue, you see it, the intent is there, right? This wouldn't be so easy, but they made it easy for Ethan Klein, right? And beyond that, him having the resources, him having, an infinite money printer is definitely going to lead to the fact that it is massively against them. So yes, the power imbalance is like 99-1, right? It is very, very much against them. It's true. Elijah Snow 333119 says, if it's as in gold, it's going to be bigger than this. Something like Twitch or Reddit itself feels like Tectone is the most solid vector. I don't want to say anything because once again, if I say anything and I speculate, these people start waking up. So let's just say there can be multiple defendants. And it would be lovely if there is a broad thing that happens. And I see a possibility for it, but there's also a point to, once again, not talking about it, right? Mephisto says XQC did undergo a lawsuit versus a former girlfriend and won. Okay. You win in one random lawsuit, it doesn't mean you win in the next one. Lawsuits are case-by-case basis. You can win all the time and lose one lawsuit and lose your fortune, right? So all it takes is one lawsuit to make or break you. So you can have I won this lawsuit, and it gives you a false sense of confidence for the future. That happens with many people where they think they're Laffy-Taffy and they lose. Disney's a great example. I've covered Disney. I covered Disney back in the day. Disney used to win all of their lawsuits, force people into settlement, bully them with money, and then they end up losing, right? They actually lost in several scenarios, right? So you just get that hubris, and the higher you get away with everything, that's kind of the Hassan problem. The more you get away with everything, the more you think you're invulnerable, the more that fall is going to hurt. It's going to hurt. So let's read the Denims. We're going over to Dirty Denims over here. This is her settlement statement. So this is possibly the most laughable thing ever. Now the print is very small, so I'm going to read this for you, and we'll just comment. I'll comment at the paragraph breaks. This apology, which I can only assume was somehow forced to extract a settlement, of course it was painful to listen to. It is absurd and ironic that Ethan accuses Hassan of being a puppeteer while LARPing as a comic book villain in this way. While it is unfortunate that Ethan appears to have been able to exert control over her in this way, I am happy that Kaceytron was given the opportunity to minimize the harm to her family, avoid the risk of losing her home, and move on from the lawsuit. So it's not exerting control. That's just what a settlement is. So Denims is unaware with legal process, as many people are, and likely unaware that that's just what she's going to have to do if she ever settles this. If she goes to court and she looks like she's losing, she's going to have to settle. And guess what? It's going to be way worse for Denims than it's going to be for Kaceytron. Her statement's going to look way worse than this. Way worse. To make things clear, my trial date is 10/26, so October 26, 2026. I look forward to beating Ethan in court. Not going to happen. While Casey and likely Frogan have caved to Ethan Klein. There it is. There's a statement. Frogan is likely going to settle. And I believe that. I do believe that. But it's difficult for her because her credibility will be shot. This is a decision I doubt they've made lightly. Settling is not an option. It's not an option for me because it would set a precedent that endangers the financial security of any streamer that creates reaction content. If you create content that involves commenting on videos on Twitch or can enjoy consuming reaction content, you should be on my side. If you don't believe me, please read ahead. So I'm not going to read this one where she talks about the substantial. She's saying she comments substantially more than Asmongold. She did 120% of the runtime. The point is, and she tries to hide the ball in the last paragraph here by saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter. She's saying, oh, well, I intentionally trying to deprive you of revenue. That doesn't matter. I'm trying to play that off. No, that does matter. You did do that. You are deceiving people by pretending you didn't do that. And that changes the law entirely, right? So you intending to divert revenue from Ethan Klein does manifestly change things. You trying to say that wasn't my intent in doing that, or, oh, that's not what I meant, doesn't really play out. A reasonable person reading your statement, a normal person, would take that as implying you have malicious intent towards Ethan Klein, and based on the timing, playing it right after it came out, as soon as it came out, that's a market substitute. So that's just absolutely stupid for her trying to say, hey, at the end here, saying, oh, there was no malicious intent. The intent was entirely malicious. There's probably nothing other than malicious intent. Charlie Spur said, if I talk, I'm in big trouble. Real Bud Mr. Bus Driver said, can't wait. Episode 3 of you hosted the Crash Out Report. Maybe it'll have 3 Banshees in it. Oh, that'll be good. Looking forward to Don P. Bongwater's good work. Great content creator. Doing great stuff with AI. Tara Stargazer, 3833, said, my guess the settlement included a condition that she will walk back any and all lies said publicly between the content nuke, restream, and settlement. Yes. And beyond that, there'll be a non-disparagement clause. So going forward, she cannot disparage the clients. So that's going to be a thing, especially as it relates to this. So that's going to be really difficult because think about it. For Kaceytron and for Denims, for Frogan, that's a lot of what they do. That's like imagine if there was a lawsuit against one Mr. Piker, and Piker could no longer make statements about Asmongold. How would he survive? Think about that. Because, by the way, that is a very, very, very common, there could be a condition to stop, and there's precedent for this. There is precedent for this. So especially during the pendency of the lawsuit, to not be commenting. Imagine that. A large content creator not allowed to comment on another one for the pendency of a lawsuit that goes on for a year or 2 years. That would be insane for some of these streamers because all of their content is based on personal attacks. So or hyperbole or going after the streamers. So imagine if they actually had to create content and deliver value or educate, etc., instead of just attacking each other. Wouldn't that be insane? Wouldn't that be insane? Leprechaun Gold, think of a super sticker. The face of Frogan makes when she eats. Oh, we're getting to Frogan next. Post-hardcore emo punk covers says Grok and ChatGPT said Denim's case is not winnable, even if she paused 210 times, averaging 30 seconds from 30 seconds per pause. Well, understand Grok's legal analysis is sometimes pretty flawed, but in this case, it does it lines up there, right? It does line up there. The fact that she had that intent and the fact she made those statements just makes her case one where I would give her a 1% chance of winning, given the fact that you can never tell what a court will do. A court could go crazy. You never know. They could just go wild. 99% Ethan. 99%. $20 from Patrick S9022 said, you think Hassan would have helped all three? Now, since Kaceytron has given up the info of Reddit and those two, it's going to come out that, in fact, Hassan and Twitch were involved. Plus, Ethan's got to focus on his NVIDIA lawsuit. Well, we don't know that for sure, but we do know that all of the money is going to Ethan and not to help Frogan. And let's talk about Frogan real quick. And I want to talk about this. This is the reason why she doesn't want to settle. When Frogan has to settle, Ethan Klein is going to 100% require her to make comments about Hassan Piker. And this is the love of her life here, right? This is all she has. This is her identity. So putting that, selling out Hassan Piker to get out, to worm out of your settlement, it's going to be tough for her audience, right? She's not going to be able to play this like tough girl act, and all this stuff. It's definitely going to damage that relationship, damage that community, damage her credibility. It's not going to look good for her. So she's probably been sitting on it, maybe been going back and forth, trying to get that statement into a condition that she wants it in. But she doesn't have the money to fight this. She's got the least money of all of them. So my bet is on Frogan eventually settling and saying something she doesn't want to have to say about Hassan Piker. Right? Let's see here. Zero Chill said, did Kaceytron's apology give anyone fond memory of Venom Fang X apology to Thunderfoot? Highly recommend. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check that out. I actually have not seen that. Dante not available says, hey, stupid Q regarding Denim's question. No, don't worry. No question's stupid. I like the stupid questions. You know why? I like the stupid questions? Hold on.
Look, here's the thing.
Fine.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
So is settlement not going to set a precedent? Oh, this is actually a really good one. Yes and no. I'm not trying to dodge you here, but what I'm trying to say is what this will do is, creators that are creating similar content. And so isn't her crashing out and burning in court exactly how President would set. So technically, if there's no final judgment, the law's not really changed or manipulated in any way. And by the way, I don't think this would change the law because of the intentionality. I don't think this is going to set a massive precedent that has rippling effects because of the intentionality on their part. I don't think so because of that. But that said, a settlement won't change it, but what it might have is a chilling effect. So what a chilling effect is it's going to deter other streamers from doing reaction content because they could potentially be sued. But to be honest, if they're doing reaction content, you should make sure it's transformative. You should really make sure you're doing a lot of work to transform the content. I do believe that. Akron says, this means KCT can't disparage him in the future. No, she cannot. No, she cannot. That's probably one of the terms. Now, she may be able to comment on things and disagree with him in certain ways, but not probably disparage him, right? That's probably included in there. The Real Moku for 35 says, do you think Ethan made her apologize for what she said about Asm's mother, or did she include it herself? I think that was something they mutually agreed upon. So I think their lawyers mutually agreed. Whether Kaceytron brought it up and Kaceytron's lawyer brought it up, or Asmund's lawyer, or sorry, not Asmund, or Ethan Klein's lawyer brought the Asmund's mother thing up, I don't know. I think it might have been Ethan's lawyer, though. I think it might have been Ethan and his lawyer. Oh, Festiva says she is broke. She has no money. She's settled with Ethan. She's felted. Whoa, buddy. Yeah, she definitely is suffering some big
emotional damage.
And ultimately at the end of the day, Denims is going to have to, and the Snark mods, by the way, because they're not off the hook on this. They're going to be deposed. They're going to have to go to discovery. They're going to be questioned. And remember, guys, you forgot this. A Snark mod was discovered to be working at Reddit itself. The rot in Reddit is very much real, which is actually, if you listen to my next Fast Facts, which is coming up right now in 1 second, you're going to be dumped into that one. You're going to hear about the rot at Reddit. Listen, Reddit doesn't want you talking about even normal stuff, right? Even the fact that men and women are different. Oh my God, so crazy. That is now controversial, bannable. That's horrible at Reddit, right? Reddit is over the deep end, and they need to be gutted. They need to be coming out. Engaging in stuff that is absolutely viewpoint discrimination, saying one viewpoint is over another, is wrong. And that's what Reddit is doing. Reddit is clearly doing that. They're engaging in that behavior. If you look at censoring my content, which is what, like I said, it's in the Fast Facts there, censoring my content, which is just legal content. It's a lawyer talking about the law. And going out here and being dedicated to attacking people because you have particular ideological views, that's just too deep. That's just too far. That's a bridge too far. And they need to be changed. And honestly, this is a type of thing that Google got in trouble with their congressional hearings where they came back and said, okay, no, YouTube was actively discriminating against people. And they admitted that. They confessed that. We could have a massive finding against Reddit, and this would set a precedent which could also be used against platforms like Twitch. I pray for that day where the reckoning comes for these platforms that have been unfair and have been persecuting people that have very normal beliefs for a long time. Let me get this. Post-hardcore emo punk cover says, so what if Rogan left the country? What happens? She's not leaving the country, right? She cannot survive outside the country. They don't have the caloric diet for her outside the country. But I don't think she's that would be something at play here. And there also are international treaties that relate to these things. See you in 2026, Denims. I am so looking forward to this. This is going to be golden content. I am so excited about it, guys. But stick around. Fast Facts is coming up right now. Stay based, and I'll catch you on the next one. While Denims, Kaceytron, and Frogan are coping.
You are coping the seething. You just can't believe what you're seeing. It's you coping the seething. The truth it is all day, and now you are molding.